Oh, now there's audio. Hello, thank you for joining me. We are doing a service on a 99 Singer 99K. It came in this cute little carrying case that does lock, though I do not have the key. I do currently have it unlocked. Let's take a look inside. As we can see, it is an electric machine. It comes with a pedal. This is technically a knee pedal. So you would place it in your table and press this with your knee rather than using it as a foot pedal. I'm going to go ahead and move all of that to the side. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the needle so that I don't stab myself. And instead I'm going to apparently put it down into the bobbin area. There's the needle. Let's go ahead and drop it over there. I don't think there's any music playing. I'm gonna fix that. So just like as if it were in a table, this does tilt back. The difference is if I remove some weight here, it does want to flip back. The previous owners were kind enough to leave a new cable in here. I'm not sure I want to use that. We're going to put it to the side. This is the faceplate. It is missing right here. It just needs the hook right there reattached. We're not going to worry about that today. And there is nothing else inside of this container. So let's go ahead and tilt it back. I know it's kind of far away, but if you were to look close here, there is quite a bit of buildup of grease, and we're going to go ahead and get that removed using more grease and the rag that is so handy in here. We're going to use oil, not grease. I misspoke. We don't need a lot of it on the rag, just enough to wipe that away. Later I may take this machine all the way apart and do a deep clean on some of these pieces. They are a little bit gross. Well, if we look here on the bottom of the machine, always nice and fun. You can see it says it was made in Great Britain and traveled all the way here to the US. I was told by the previous owner of this machine that it was, in fact, a well cared for machine. And with how freely it moves, I do not doubt that for a second. I'm just going to take a pick here and remove some of the gunk from inside of these notches. So that when I come back in here next time, hopefully I am not fighting any built up grease to get my screwdrivers into these notches. I'm going to quickly wipe down all of the surfaces that we just messed with so that the gunk that we just loosened up, it was built in 1918 over in Great Britain. Which is a testament to how well these machines were built. That over 100 years later, it still functions extremely well. I'm done wiping these inside channels. I'm just going to put a small drop of oil everywhere that it moves. A lot of that craftsmanship has to do with the materials that were being used. In a lot of newer machines, you'll find things like plastic gears, which do not age quite as well as metal gears. Though Metal Gears do have their own issues. And that is mostly that they require a bit more upkeep, which is not something that we do a lot of anymore. It was, I think, trained out of us. See, did I miss any pieces? Look how nicely that moves. I did. There's two back there. Back up and do a little bit of a spin. Alright, that is everything on the underside. We're going to go ahead and take off this, and this has a cute little button that allows us to let out the bobbin. Yeah, it's very sad, but it seems like a lot of these older machines are having a bit of a revival almost. I don't think this piece needs it, but we're going to go ahead and drop some oil on her so I can do a little bit of cleanup just to make her nice and pretty. Put that to the side as we continue into the machine from the top. Now I do want to get this plate all the way off, so I'm actually going to take off this foot so that it's easier to get to. Thank you. I absolutely agree that this is a gorgeous machine. I have a couple more in my collection. I am high-key obsessed with these machines. This is not... Oh, there we go. Ooh, that was a little bit stuck. Take the oily part of the rag here. So there's just kind of a small film of oil once we put it back on. Put that to the side. Tighten this piece so it stops moving on me. We're just cleaning everything off as we take this apart. I want this plate to come off, so I'm going to take my little stubby screwdriver and try to get in there. It is not wanting to comply, so maybe we use something longer but thinner. don't think I have something quite that small. And these are in there pretty tight. Let's see if there's something on the other side holding them in. There's probably not. Small. No, it's just straight into the cast iron. I started off hand sewing. I used to be petrified of the machines. I thought they would eat my hands. Sounds a little bit silly, but they're kind of scary. Alright, I actually need to grab another tool. We're gonna finagle this.
Right under my index finger. You press it. Keep an eye on the light.
Alright, I am back with a new tool. We're gonna see if we can get this off. I have a couple of options, so we'll see what ends up working. Hmm. Oh no! Don't leave me. It kind of feels like there's something in there. Okay, so let's try this again. That is the wrong direction. There we go. No, it is just not wanting to budge. So I think we'll just move on for the moment while I brainstorm about that. I might hit it with some oil. Was I? Well, that was left. But I mean, it could be reverse threaded. I don't think these are. Wouldn't make sense for them to be. No, they're just good in there good and tight. We're just going to move on for the moment. This right here changes the length of the stitch. Comes in and out pretty easily. It's not going to come all the way out because it is kind of latched in there on the innards. Going to clean that up and drop just a little bit of oil on it. Screw it back in. We'll of course get back to this one from a different angle a little bit later. But for now, that is good, and we're going to move on to the back. So we are working from the bobbin to the needle. So that means we're coming from here. We've already done the bottom. We're going to come up this way. This model does not have a window right here, so we're going to have to come in looking from here, and I know that you can't see it, but I might be able to rectify you not being able to see it. By removing the clutch. And that'll give me a better view of this as well. That is, of course, if it wants to come out. We might leave that piece be as well. That is unfortunate. So let's go ahead and put that screw in since it did not seem to allow us access. There's no reason to leave it out. Alright, so we're going to be able to see this piece through this little hole right here, and I'm going to add a bit more oil into it because we are not going to be able to do much in the way of cleaning to it. And again, I'm just going to screw it all the way in and screw it back out, just so that we can get some movement there and work the oil into those grooves. Now that we're working towards that needle again, we're going to turn the machine. And there are a couple of holes in the body here that we're going to add oil into. And then we're just going to spin everything to work it in. So here is that first one. We don't need much, so that should be good. On our rotate. And these machines were designed to spin in one direction. Even though you can spin it the other way, this wheel is always meant to be spinning towards the user. That is the direction we are going to continue to spin it. Do a quick wipe for any excess oil that was left on the surface. We're going to come over to the bobbin winder. We're going to take a look at this rubber. I was advised that it was changed pretty recently. So, and it doesn't seem to have any cracks, so we're going to leave it be. just going to wipe down this gear and add some more oil once we're done. There's a bit of buildup of crusties. So again, just taking my pick and clearing that out a little bit so that next time I come to work on this machine, I'm not fighting against this buildup that we could take off right now. We're going to turn this to face the head. So we have the tension screw right here. I believe this is the hook. And here is the pressure screw so that we can change how much pressure we're putting on any given fabric so that we can work on everything from heavier linens to fine cottons without too much issue. And this will screw all the way out, so we're just going to do it most of the way, and I can kind of feel it wiggling there, so we're going to stop there. Wipe it off, apply just the tiniest bit of oil, and screw it back in. Wipe off the excess oil. And seeing as this is not a moving piece, this is more for rust and ease of movement when we need to make those adjustments. Go ahead and inspect everything in here and make sure there's not too much buildup of gunk. You know, I believe the person that I got this from that this was a well cared for machine, which is really cool to see. Just clearing some of this gunk out again to make it easier later. Because I will be completely disassembling this at some point for a much more in-depth cleaning. Here is one of the screws for the face plates, and then it just clips into this bottom portion. Singer was not going to waste the manufacture of any parts it did not need to. Going to add just a little bit of oil to each piece that moves. None of this needs much. Just the absolute tiniest drop of oil that I can manage. And we'll go ahead and spin her. To work that oil in. And you can see where she moves through the cast iron, so I'm going to add a drop of oil there. All right. Now we're back to this faceplate. I put some oil down, so maybe, hopefully, that has helped with getting this loose. So, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All right. There's one. And finish unscrewing that in a second. Move to this side, lift that up so it's a little more out of the way. Actually, this is probably one of the easier pieces on the sewing machine to remove, so we're going to go ahead and do that so it's completely out of the way. Just need to unscrew this all the way. You see the tension on that just released. I'm going to put that to the side. There are 2 screws holding it in place. Whoever put this together last was enthusiastic. That screw on the right is just a little bit longer, isn't it? It's a good thing to note. While I just have these pieces all the way out, I'm just wiping them down, place them to the side. In theory, I should be able to just press this up at this point, but something is holding it in place. Ah, indeed. So it is. These 2 pieces are not actually connected. How are you supposed to? It appears that these are not supposed to come out. Let's put things back then. I think that is a good plan, to put things back. one on the left was shorter. See a slightly smaller screwdriver because this one is magnetic. Amazing. We're going to be not quite as enthusiastic as the last person. Though it feels like this screw needs a little bit more enthusiasm just to get it into place. We'll call that good. And we'll get this back into place since taking it out did nothing for our cause. Alright, let's work on this now. Enthusiasm abounds. Moved a little bit. Let's just get this screw out. Let's get ourselves a little win. I know this one is already loose. Yay! One screw out. Amazing. We just need a little more enthusiasm, right? Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Somebody needs to tell this person that they don't need to be as forceful as maybe they were when putting these screws in. We have a little bit more movement. Looks like we are just pushing at things. are getting movement. It is just fighting all the way. Let's try maybe a different tool. Reach into my mystery mousket tools over here that you can't see. I have a smaller screwdriver. I don't think that's what we're looking for. I have Phillips heads. Haha! This is what I was looking for. It's a little bit bigger than the one I have sitting over to my right over here. So hopefully we can get enough purchase to give it a little spin. And it does seem to be working. Yay! We got it. Ah! We are going to reinstall that in a bit with a lot less enthusiasm. Alright, a little bit of oil squirted on here just for cleaning, making it all nice and party. And that'll get some of that fiber buildup off of it as well, which is really what we're here for. Putting that to the side. Alright, so the next step looks like we need to get the feed dogs off. Yes, we should be able to do that. And that does look like a good next step. So we'll get them out of the way unless maybe it's just this that needs to come off. We'll try that first. These are long and large. Large being relative. I think me and the last person who put this together are gonna have some beef. Is that small enough? No, not really. Alright. We're going to press down using our thumb after we center this. And then we're going to use the wrench, hopefully, to move it to the side. I don't know if that'll work nearly as well as I would hope. all this down before we get too invested in trying to remove more items. There's a little bit of wear right here, like somebody ate it. So take my pick along the edge. Pick up some of this grime. And while we're at it, we'll come in here as well. What is this? Why is there... Oh no, I don't think that's supposed to be there. I think we're going to have to find a way to remove that. Okay. There's a lot of play right there. I don't know if it should have that much play. I don't think so. I think that is not a great thing to have in that location. This is really bothering me, so I'm going to try to take it out right now. That just looks like felted fabric. That should definitely not be there. We expect it to be there, because it does tend to build up underneath the plate. Let's take another look underneath and see if maybe that is being held on by something on this side. Oh! Doesn't look like it, but it looks like I might be able to get that felted piece of garbage out. Look at that. That's part of it. I know you can't see it here. Like a little bug up to the screen. Ew. I wish it was easier to show y'all. Like, it is coming out of the spring right there. While we have this flip though, let's go ahead and take out those feed dogs because I think they're in our way. I hope they weren't as enthusiastic about this. Though I have a sinking suspicion that they were. Have a great night. More of that felted material. Alright, I wish I had the enthusiasm to take this all the way out tonight. But the prior servicer had much more than I do. So we are just going to do our best. Kind of shove our way into places. And get some of this grime picked up. There doesn't seem to be too much built up of fabric except in that one spot with the spring. I don't believe that that is a critical component to the stitching. I've gotten quite a bit of the felted fabric that was built up around it out of it. It's not like we are dealing with a frozen machine, so this is just maintenance rather than a full repair. that looks good to me. We've got all the built up threads kind of wiped off as much as we can. So let's apply a little bit of oil where the parts move. We do want to be as sparing as possible right here, unless we want to discolor our bobbins. That looks good to me. So while we put this together, I'm going to put just a little bit of oil along this edge as well as inside of those screw points. And then wipe off the excess. Let's reinstall the faceplate with far less enthusiasm than the last individual. Still using our large screwdriver here. Maybe we may have to use the wrench to get this in place. Ah, this turns in with the hand. Let's grab the other one. I will again just turn it in with the hand. Take our screwdriver, and we want these tight enough to be flat. And that's about it. Tight enough to be flat, and we're good. We'll grab our bobbin and just pop that back in and pull it through the tensioner. Reinstall the thread cutter. really matter where that sits. I can move it later. And the foot, it does look like that is a it's kind of a regular straight stitch foot. Gonna wipe that off again. I think I got a bit of oil on it. Do not want that. Hold that in place, and then we'll grab the thumb screw. Which, in normal circumstances where this hasn't been very enthusiastically installed, doesn't actually need to come all the way off in order to remove the foot. As always, we're going to grab a new needle. For anyone wondering, these are 9014s if it'll focus. Looks like not. 9014s, also called, I believe, 15 ones. I'm going to loosen this thumb screw and just slide it all the way up and tighten it back down. We're going to spin this around so we can see a little bit better. That is not going into the hole, which means I put it a little too far up, I believe. There we go. We are going to temporarily place the faceplate back on just so that we can thread this up and do a little test. And that doesn't need to be super tight, just a breath. And I will need to go get some thread and fabric for this last part. Just have a piece of muslin. Place this underneath, hold it down. Let's go ahead and thread the machine. We're going to go through the hook, down through the tension, and under that hook down there. through there, through there, which is why we needed to reinstall the faceplate temporarily, and through the needle. Which it goes from left to right. We'll just pop that into the thread holder right there. I almost forgot, we do actually need to bring up that bobbin thread. And it is not coming up. So why is that happening? Ah, I see. That was a user error. Let's go ahead and drag that back. This is an electric machine, so we're going to go ahead and bring the pedal up here and grab the plug. We will be changing out that plug at a later time. However, that is not this time. Pop that down and let's get to stitching. A little bit too loose up here. That I don't think is the machine's fault. I think that is probably our fault somewhere along this line. Let's lift this up. I believe our thread tension is too tight right here. Ooh, yeah, you can see it's pulling down here. So I believe our bobbin tension is actually the one that is too tight. And that is just a tiny little screw. So let's pop this out again. Also might be that I installed this incorrectly, so please bear with me while I flip it and try again. is this not pulling? Ah, I see. The catch on the faceplate is being the issue, at least in part. So while we're waiting for that fix to be correct, we're just going to place a hard object there. Catch our bobbin thread and pull it out. And there is nothing immediately moving behind that piece. So we will be okay. Just hold that there and try this again. Maybe a little bit slower. It looks like we are still pulling far too much of this top thread. So I believe we need to increase this tension. We'll increase it by quite a bit just to get our first bit. We're going to fold this over so that we have a nice clean line to work with. Once again, we'll come over here, hold that, and just try to go slow. Looks like we're not pulling quite as much thread, so I have high hopes for this. Look at that. We're seeing just a little bit of blue on this side, so we're going to increase the tension just a tiny, just a smidgen. And we'll go ahead and fold it over again. This machine should be able to sew through plenty of layers of this super thin muslin, so I am not too worried about it, but we will decrease the foot pressure to accommodate. Now I do note that unlike modern machines, this machine does not have a brake. And so when you stop pressing on the pedal, you simply need to wait for the machine to come to a stop rather than it immediately stopping. And if it will focus, maybe if I change the color, there we go. Let's see, there's no green on that side. And there's no blue on this side. I think our tension is set. Let's cap our oil real quick and put it to the side. And we're going to call this machine a success. Let's retighten that a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, this is the Singer 99K. It was built in Great Britain in 1918. Hope to see you on the next one.